Coming up on this podcast, we preview the Adelaide Crows for their 2025 season. We talk about how pumped we are to watch Isaac Rankin play this year and if they're going to make their final 8 or not. Das.
It's been awesome, Jev. You guys know where to find us at 100K Sports. Like and subscribe. You can find us on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you send to a friend so we can get the pods out there. It really helps.
Let's go. Up the Crows.
Come on.
Oh, the 2025 season is officially underway because we are up to our season previews for every single team, all 18 teams. This will be powered by PointsBet. Joining me as always, Darcy Ballard. Dobe, how are you, brother?
Jev, I could not be better. We're officially back. Time to kick off season 2025. If you didn't watch or listen to the last summer roast, check out the new studios, Jev. Oh. Look at that. I've got Cripsy in the background. We've both got a new 100K light, couple scarves. Looks like you're in the sauna, Jev. You're cooking up some takes. You're ready to go. You're heating up for 2025. How are we feeling?
Oh, now that we're into it, now it's season officially beginning. We are into it. And our first off the ranked ass, the Adelaide Crows.
Great.
We are getting into the Adelaide Crows. We're doing our season preview, so we're going to have the exact same 15 questions for every team. You'll hear them on the pod. You'll probably see them on our Insta. So we'll just go through them. We won't go through them now because we're not going to go through them at the start of every ep. But the same 15 questions for every team. Das, how did the Adelaide Crows go in 2024?
Yeah, so a quick wrap up, Jev. Adelaide absolutely bottled it in 2024. They finished 15th, so they went 8-14-1. They started the year 1-5. They won a showdown. They drew with Brisbane, if you remember that game. It was absolutely awesome. They lost to the Tigers at home. Then they beat the Giants. They lost the second showdown and then got dismantled by the Swans before heading off to Canggu, and that was the end of their season. Very, very disappointing. They were all crying the year before because they thought that they got robbed. Ben Keys kicked the goal against your mob. We thought they were going to have a bounce-back season. Well, I did. You didn't. And once again, Jev, they bottled 8-14-1 in a very disappointing season for the Adelaide Crows.
Yeah. I'm reading through some of our notes of last year's. We've changed the questions a tiny bit, but geez, they were disappointing to what we were sort of predicting. You predicted Rory Laird and Jordan Dawson might be a top 2 midfielder in the comp. Would they be top 17 midfielder in the comp?
I don't think they'd be top 20, Jev, and we'll get into I don't think Laird will be playing in the midfield, which is what we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, very disappointing. And Jev, also, why we keep this fresh. So for anyone that didn't listen last year, we will be referring back to some of our old answers. So if we said something stupid, don't think we wipe it under the carpet. We make sure we let it know. Now, Jev, I've got to give some credit before we start. So there is a page on Facebook. Like, obviously, we can't be at all the trainings, but it's Nerds for Life. So it's a super coach page. And they give daily updates or weekly updates on how the teams are going. So this is what they said. Nick Murray, Jev, before we get into the season previews, defender, abdominal issues. So he's looking like a brick shithouse. So he's a little bit injured. Phil Thorpe looks visibly bigger again.
Oh, he can't be any bigger. He can't. He came straight from Liver King's Ranch when he came back last year. He can't be any bigger.
They say Taylor Walker's trimmed down a bit and look like to be moving well, which means he's looking slow. Sid Draper, elite, however, was playing with the B team. Isaac Cummings still recovering from injury. I'm not sure what that is, but he's their prize recruit this year. James Peatling played well in the midfield. Rochelle, extremely impressive. Isaac Rankin, dominant all day. Dawson spent some time out on the wing. Dan Curtin, Jev, they picked him up as a defender, played mid and impressed in the B team. And that's about it. And Rory Laird playing as a defender as well. So that's what they're saying coming out of the Crows.
Playing as a water boy. All right.
Yeah, legit.
Good little wrap up. I like that. So let's get into it. The first question we're going to start. Everyone, competition A graders. Do the Adelaide Crows have any competition A graders? I reckon we're going to agree on this one. Who you got?
Yeah, we've got Isaac Rankin in there, Jev. I don't think we really have to reel off too many stats. The eye test does show it. He's an unbelievable footballer. And I've still got Jordan Dawson in there. I've got the two of them. Jordan Dawson, like a bit of a tough year for him, but I still think that he did step up. Isaac Rankin, Jev, had everything last year. Played up until round 10, did a hammy, had a couple weeks off, then got suspended, played 2 more weeks, and then got knocked out by Dan Houston, and that was the end of his season. So feel he's really going to bounce back this year, have a very much more mature role. I just feel, everything's coming up Isaac, Rankin, and, Jordan Dawson. Jev, I've got the 2. What about you?
Just the 1 for me. Just Isaac Rankin for me, Das. He's just a superstar. And I reckon he's finally hitting that age. I think he's going to be 25 or 26. I think he just knows he just needs to be mature now, and he needs to play all 22 games. No funny business. He'll start getting his off the field stuff better, where he'll take care of his body more. I can see him having a huge year. He's an absolute superstar. When he's fine, he's as good as any player in the comp. He's their only competition A grader for me. The next question is where I have the other guy, position A graders. So I'll go first with this one, position A graders. So I don't know how to describe Jordan Dawson's position other than Jordan Dawson is the Luke Hodge of Jaron Geary's. He plays Luke Hodge's position, but he's an A grader at it. I like the way he's a midfielder when they need to be. He's their best kick, so he kicks it inside 50 when they need it. If they need him behind the ball at late in quarters or to stop the bleeding, or they need him floating across half back to just be the captain and the general, he's an A grader at doing that. I don't have him as a competition A grader anymore. I don't have him in the Neil or, Crypt. I don't have him in that class anymore, but I still think he's so elite at what he does. So he's their only position A grader for me. Isaac Rankin's a competition. Jordan Dawson's a general backman midfielder A grader. And then that's it for me, Das. What about you?
Yeah, no, I don't have anyone for there. Obviously, I had Dawson up in the competition A grades the year before. He was pretty sure finished the year in the pyramid. He was unbelievable, and I just felt because they were so shit, he just couldn't get his exact game going. That's why I still hold him in that such high regard. But apart from that, Jev, who else do they don't have a position A grade. Nick Murray, is he a position A grade? No. Mark Keane, the Wombat, our man. He's not. Phil Thorpe isn't. Fogarty isn't a position A grader yet.
So if we predict 12 months' time, we'd like to say both Phil Thorpe and Fogarty are A grade key forwards.
Yes.
Phil Thorpe out of the square. Fogarty be more like a centre forward. I'd like to think that there's a guy in this next question. I reckon we're going to have notable role players. So I just looked at my notes from last year. Notable role players. Who you got, Das?
So this guy coming in, Isaac Cumming, Jev. So I think he's going to be. They finally have someone that can play a bit more as like a defender role that with a bit more of experience. So he didn't play that many games for the Giants last year, but every time he does play, what does he get? He averages like 15 to 20 touches. He's just going to be their middle piece. He uses the ball really well. Like he was such a pivotal role for that Giants team. Like he was pretty much a starter every single time he's fit and ready to go. And look, he's going to have a massive part to do with the leadership for the young guys. I won't mention who they are because I know that's the next category, but last year, I think I had Luke Pedlar. Like, he can't get out on the field, Jev. Is he really a role player? He's not tackling. He's not pressuring. He can't even get a game at the moment. So, had Malira as well. He pretty much had the whole year out. Is he another role player? Apparently, he's having a good preseason, but I don't know. I just think Isaac Cummings is going to come into the side and play a massive team role. He's not going to get 30 touches every week. So, he's one that I think will elevate them going forward. What about you?
You've missed one, Das. Our man, Ben Keys, is the role player. He is the notable role player for the Adelaide Crows. He's a position A grader, role-playing half-forward play on the half-back. Like, you could call him a position A grader because he's bloody good at what he does. He runs up and down the field. He puts defensive pressure on. He gets out the back of defenses. No one can run with him. If he played the Bombers every week, Das, he'd be Brownlow favourite.
And the Blues.
He loves playing the Bombers.
And the Blues.
If he got the Bombers and Blues every week. You know, in the preseason, they're doing that little triple threat. I think it's Brisbane, Gold Coast and Collingwood.
Yes, what is that?
Imagine it was Adelaide, Carlton and Essendon. Ben Keys would go off.
20.
We love Ben Keys. I'm looking at my notes from last year. Said the exact same thing. Notable role players, Ben Keys. Guys, and I said last year, guys like Chase Jones, Ned McHenry, Lockie Scholl, Jake Saligo, who needs to be more than a role player. He needs to go up. He needs to take that next step as a midfielder. I really like him. I see Zach Butters in it. It must be that Adelaide water, but I just see a bit of Zach Butters when he's a bit younger in him. That Adelaide water you can't really drink or else you get crook guts. So Yeah, but Ben Keys is the notable role player. And I said it last year as a young gun. He's more a role player now. I absolutely love Max Michaelini, and I always will. I love a bloke that starts his AFL career as a back pocket, learns the ropes, and he starts coming up the field. He gets to half back. Now he'll be training with the midfielders. Might see him in the midfield a bit more. He's done his apprenticeship. They absolutely rate him so highly. So I want to see a heap from him this year. I love Max Michaelini, and I love our man Ben Keys.
Well, pretty much, Jev, that segues into the next one. So the next segment we have here is Young Guns. So going off that, Jev, I did actually have that underlined. You do love Max Michaelani. He looks like to be a really good player. You never know. He might in a few years, like he might become a position A grader, like just that role every single time. I think his first game, Mark Rashudo just had the highest words for him.
Yeah.
You got Lukey Nankervis, the gentleman's wank, Jev. He only wanks with a condom on. It's well known across the park, Lukey Nankervis. You got Dan Curtin, Jev, a really high draft pick. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually goes forward a little bit, like they did mention in that, and Sid Draper. So I thought we were maybe going to take him. He's an Adelaide boy. So whether his family, I think when you go that high up in the draft, you've actually got a bit of say where you go. He's like, hey, I want to stay at home. If you draft me at Carlton, I'm going to come back home in a few years. He's meant to be super explosive, whether he just plays simple midfield time, more up forward. But I definitely think he's going to add a lot to that side. And I'm really interested to see how these young kids come through. What about you?
Yeah, Dan Curtin's the only man that's got the same haircut as his last name. He's got the curtains going on. I just want to see him play every game. He didn't get enough game, and I get it. Like, they've got to develop these players the right way. Some guys lose confidence. They just play and don't get a kick. So they put him in the sample. Sample's a good competition. If he plays every game, like, I think he can be a player. I think he could be a hybrid winger. He could be a great halfback, a great centre halfback, could be forward. He could be that third forward that no backline's got to match up when you've got Thilthorpe and Fogarty. So, yeah, I'm excited to see Dan, what's his name? Dan Curtin. Sid Draper's more your guy. I don't know heaps about him. I thought the Blues were going to draft him. They didn't end up drafting. He's a big unit as well. It looked like they've tried to draft a bit of height. They've got Thilthorpe. So the last 3 drafts, they've gone a bit taller. So, and then the other young gun, I don't even know if we call him a young gun anymore. But we have to talk about him. I don't know where else we're going to talk about him. Josh Rochelle.
Oh, you can talk about him. I'm going to talk about him a bit later.
You talk about him. They're getting it all wrong. This is more Kane Corns' take the other day. So they dropped him for the last game of the season last year. They didn't wrap their arms around him properly. They said he's not meeting the club standards, all this crap. So they've made him hit rock bottom. They've embarrassed him. But now they're saying in Adelaide, he's having the best preseason they've ever seen by an AFL footballer. It's what Matty Nicks said the other day. So they've put him at rock bottom and now they've hit him at the highest round. He's having the best preseason ever seen by an AFL footballer. It's like...
crock of shit.
Oh, just...
be honest.
Let him be a role player. Let him be Ben Keys next year. If he has a Ben Keys season next year, everyone will be like, great season, Rochelle. Stop letting him ride the roller coaster. Stop making him inconsistent. And every time he does something great, it's all over the highlights. And every time he does something shit, it's all over the radio and the media. He needs to just become that, doesn't he? He needs to be 100%. Jordan Dawson. He needs to be Ben Keys. He just needs some consistency about him. It's going to do my head in if they're going to talk about him like he's had the best. And he's in ripping nick. We've seen some photos with his shirt off. He's looking great. The Crows are looking great. But, geez, when that ball gets bounced, they go to water a bit.
It's unbelievable. They let him celebrate like Ackermanis and he plays like Jed Lamb. Like, I'm not sure like what they're doing with him with Matty Nicks. But on the next one, Jev, so the depth. So this question that we go through, we can pretty much interpret this however we want. So last year, I went and had a look at my notes, Jev. I spoke about if Tex was injured, would Thilthorpe and Fogarty be able to take over the reins? Obviously, down year for Tex. Thilthorpe was injured. Fogarty had a really good back end of the year. So did Thilthorpe when he came in the side. But something I really want to talk about is their mids. So for years, Jev, like how does this sound? So Crouch, Laird, Sam Berry, like it seems slow. But with some of these people now that can run through, so you've obviously got Dawson in. You've got Sid Draper, Pete Lings, Saligo, Neil Bullen, and then Ben Keys and Lockie Shull. So that's a completely different lineup compared to, once again, Crouch, Laird, Berry. Like those guys in there. Like I'm excited to see what Peatling can do. Saligo, Alex Newborn. I think we forget that he's there. Like he can tag, he can run his legs off. He can do it all. Like he's another notable role player that we probably didn't mention. Like
they should have mentioned.
They drafted the best notable role player on the board.
I love Alex Newborn. Like he's a competition A grade notable role player. I love the way he plays football. He will do anything for a superstar, anything for the team. He's probably already in their leadership group. I don't know. I probably should have looked it up more. I absolutely love him. Das, last year I said with depth, I'll read my notes. This is a hard one. I'm going to go to their midfield depth, and that's what worries me but excites me. I think only Jordan Dawson and Rory Laird are their two midfielders, but I reckon they nearly have 10 more guys that can go through. Naming those guys, Chase Jones and Ned McHenry and Jake Saligo and Josh Rochelle. So I'm saying that last year. I'm basically saying that again this year. Who are the guys? Jake Saligo has to take that step in their midfield.
Yeah.
Rory Laird's not good enough anymore. He nearly needs to do the Lee Montagna, the Joe Montagna, and go back to half back again.
Well, it honestly sounds like he's doing the like that role where they know that he just accumulates and he doesn't do anything with it. Like he's almost going to do a Zorko where he's just going to sit back and then just try and attack. He's a good kick, but he's not breaking lines. So maybe that's where they see his best role.
Depends how. Are they going to set their back line up to protect him? So now they get Dan Curtin, the Wombat, and the big fella that hurt himself.
You got Malira as well, Wayne Malira,
and then Laird barely plays on a man and just tries to get 35 back there. And they got new midfielders. I don't know what they're going to do. But, their depth, they don't have enough high-end talent. They just don't. And I'll get to, we got some questions later, but they just don't have enough high-end talent. The next question is Dark Horse All-Australian. Last year I said Isaac Rankin. He's no longer a Dark Horse All-Australian. He should be an All-Australian. Do you have a Dark Horse All-Australian?
Yeah, I had a look at this and there wasn't many people that jumped out. I'm like, I've got no bloody idea who I'm going to pick. So I'm going to double down on what I said last year, Jev. I'm going to go Mitch Hinge again. I went through my notes and I compared him to, so I said in a perfect world, he can have an Alir type season. Well, he didn't, because every time we saw him, he was at the casino fingering buttholes. So Mitch Hinge, take your fingers out of buttholes and start making more interceptions. But to be honest, Jev, he actually had a really good season. He had a career best year. I think he had a 36 or 33 touch game against you guys. He had a couple of 27s. He actually had a good year for him. So as a price point on PointsBet, Jev, we can get $13 for an All-Australian, which I think is that a PointsBet respecting Mitch Hinge, like $13 to be an All-Australian, Jev, that's pretty short.
Well, it's pretty sure you're right. I can name 13 better players at his position.
I think he's like 30th on the list. I went down, but $13. They put some respect on his name. So I'm gonna go him again, Jev, because there was no one else that really jumped out at me. Not for a roughy price point, Dark Horse. So Mitch Hinge, buttholes out.
I'm gonna go Liver King, Riley Thilthorpe.
Nice.
I just think his last 18 months are becoming perfect for him to dominate this year.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Will Ashcroft mold, where he had a year off where he's just not going to play, so they just built him up in the gym. Then he got a little bit of footy at the end of last year. Now I'm hoping he's doing a full preseason where he's this 108 kilo brick shithouse who's now kicked 10,000 footies in the off-season.
Yes.
I think that it all sets up for him to kick 50 goals, 55 goals. I'd love to see him just manhandle blokes, play out of the cube and kick 50 goals. I hope, what I want from him, Darcy Fogarty is a beautiful set shot.
Yes.
Anywhere in the 50. Imagine, same with Thilthorpe. He gets 5 marks and 5 kicks a game, but there's a chance it's 5 goals straight. He's one of those guys. Anytime he marks it, he's been working on his goal kicking all preseason, and he just goes back and slots them from anywhere at Adelaide Oval. That's what I like to see from the thrill seeker.
Do you see the Adelaide players were coming out and saying, we all hate playing on him at training.
Yes.
We hate it. He's just manhandling blokes. He's doing so many like forward ruck stoppages. And can you imagine going up against like your one ruckman all the time and Tex? Every time if there's a mismatch, Jev coming inside forward 50, just put it to his advantage a little bit and it'll be Warren Treadray, hold, push, mark. Like, Jev, I love it. He could have a monster season.
Yeah, I love the arc he's been on because injuries are no good, but there's certain times of the year you can do all your rehab. So he would have been rehabbing last summer, the whole summer, all for 14 rounds. Then he's played at the end of the year, and now you hit the preseason at your fittest, and you're just going to go up from there, I hope. No injury, stay fit. He's my dark horse All-Australian. This is a question we asked last year. You just can interpretate it however you want. Coach, captain. That's all. It's just coach, captain, question mark. Talk to me.
Yeah, I love Dawson. Love the Dorse. I'm saying,
leadership.
What was that?
I love his leadership. I like the way he leads the club.
You liked him at the Swans. He comes across. If Matty Nicks doesn't win a final, he will be the first coach fired. How much longer can he keep this list? So, Jev, I've got my coach's hot platter in order at the moment. So it's Ken. I've been saying this for 5 years, but Ken's gone at the end of the year. He's gone. Then we got Nicks, Uze, Voss, Brad Scott, and Goodwin in that order. That's how I have them at the moment as the season starts. If the Tigers don't win a game, why will they not ship off Uze? I don't know. I don't think he will be the coach for the future. So I was just looking, Jev, this has been Adelaide's record under Nick. So 3-14, 7-15, 8-13, 11-12, and last year 8-14-1. So over 106 games, he's 37, 68-1. That's a 34.9 win rate. How much longer, if they miss finals again, will he be able to hold on to this team? I don't know, because if they get one or two more pieces, I reckon they need a fresh voice. What's his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6th, 7th season? I don't think he makes it to 10.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, yeah, and it looks like the way that he outed a few players like Rochelle. I don't know. I just don't think, can you imagine if you're in that building, it's like, fuck, we've only won 7 games again. I honestly could see him not coaching Adelaide next year.
Yeah, I've got one for you, and it's so I completely agree with Jordan Dawson. He is the man to lead that footy club. The way he plays, the way he leads on the field, and the way he talks to the media, and just he's not that emotional roller coaster. He's not like your Dane Zorko or your Braden Maynard up, and then you're down. He just keeps it cool.
Even keeled.
If I'm a Crow supporter, I just couldn't love him anymore. I've got one for you, Das. Just hearing you say that about Matty Nicks. So they start with St Kilda, Essendon, North Melbourne. Let me make sure I get this right. St Kilda, Essendon, North Melbourne.
It is.
Let's say they should be 2-1, minimum 2-1. Gold Coast, Geelong, GWS, Fremantle, Carlton. They could be on a 5-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Gold Coast at Gold Coast. Geelong beat them every year at Adelaide Oval.
Yep.
GWS, Freo at Freo. Carlton, they do like Carlton at Adelaide Oval.
They love us.
But then the next game is the showdown. If they're 2-6 going into that showdown and they get pants by Port Adelaide, who we're both predicting to slide, I reckon Matty Nicks could be fired by round 8, Das.
100%. 100%.
Round 8. And unless he made the stand at the end of last year, knowing he was keeping his job, and he changed the standards the last 4 rounds of last year because they were giving him one more year, and they're going to start hot and they're going to be really good, then he's going to hold on. I still think he needs to at least make finals to keep his job at the end of the year. But if they miss, he's getting fired. If they make and lose a close one, he probably keep his job. But if they look, there's a world he gets fired after that showdown.
Yeah, well, especially if they've only won 1 or 2 games, Jev, but 34.9% win rate. How do you keep that locker room fired up when it's like, boys, we just got to go again? It's like, shut up. It's not working.
Chris Scott's 70? Doesn't Chris Scott win 70% of his games?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that goes on to our next question, strength of schedule. So he had a good look at Adelaide's schedule.
Yeah, so, and then judging off, there is a report that came out. So depending on, obviously, where you finished, depends on how they set up your schedule for the next year. So if you finish top 6, you will most likely double up against those top 6 sides from last year as they try and make the schedule easier. They have the 4th easiest schedule according to the Fox Footy schedule making rankings. So the fourth easiest schedule. So some home games that I looked at, Jev. So last year, they got absolutely slapped around at home. So they were 5-8-1 at home, which isn't good. So Adelaide used to be a fortress. So they lost to the Hawks by 66 points. They lost to the Tigers at home, which wasn't good. So some big games this year.
When Joel and Marty kicked 9 on them.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Pantsed them.
So some big games this year at home. They got the Cats round 5, Jev, as you mentioned.
That's gather round, isn't it?
Was that?
That's gather round, I think.
Yeah, it will be, because opening rounds, 0. Yeah. So technically round 6. So Cats round 5, Giants round 6, Carlton round 8, the Showdown round 9, as you said, Jev. These are all at home. Brisbane round 13, the Suns, another Showdown. Then they got the Hawks and the Pies.
Fucking hell.
So that's their like big name home games. I don't know if Adelaide Oval is going to be a fortress for them anymore. Like, I know that we're looking and like we're trying to be optimistic, but they're good teams and they're teams that are obviously trying to push to be top 8. I don't see where it gets any easier for the Crows this year.
No, I completely agree. Like, especially with gather round being at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide Oval gets more games played on it than ever. Teams play there now. It's not like you go to the Swans back in the day only went to Adelaide Oval once every 2 years, or they might play Port 1 year, then the Crows the next, like once a year. Now gather rounds there. You're playing there more than ever.
Play Port there.
Yeah, so they start soft. Well, not soft, but if I'm a Crows supporter, I got the Saints round 1 at home, we win. Then we go to the MCG, we can beat the Bombers.
Have to.
We're 2-0. This is why I'm a Crows supporter. Then we're playing North Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. We have to be better than North Melbourne.
Have to be 3-0.
It doesn't matter what your or my opinion is on North Melbourne. We have to beat North Melbourne. You got the Suns at Suns, going to be tough. Then, they go through this 5-game gauntlet. Suns, Cats, GWS, Freo, Carlton. Could be 0-5 like that. Then it's the Showdown. Could be 0-6. Then it's Collingwood at the MCG. Could be a 7-game losing streak.
Always a cracking game.
Beat West Coast. Then you got Swans and Brisbane, the 2 reigning premiers. Like, you know what I mean? It's
tough.
They could lose 9 out of 10 weeks. Then they've got the Hawks in Tassie. They could lose 10 out of 11 weeks.
It's crazy.
And who are they better than there? There's no evidence to say they're better than any of those teams.
No. So I'd as well, Jev. Like I've got it later, but they have to start 3-0.
They
have to start 3-0, or else they're going to be wanting that they can like pinch a few games and take a few scalps. But their back end of the draw must be a lot easier, because I was the same as you. I looked at their front end and I was like, they better be fit, they better be healthy, and they better not have any injuries, and they better learn how to play football, because it's going to be slim pickings for them. If it's going to get real dark very early if they can't win some football games.
Yeah, it's losing 10 out of 11 and done by round 14, missing finals.
Yep.
Matty Nicks probably gone. Like, I just can't see it not happening. I can't see they don't have the talent on their list to improve to a side that's just going to beat good teams consistently.
It's crazy.
I can't see it. Their backline isn't good enough.
Next one, if you've got one, do you have any in the gun? Someone in the gun for Adelaide, maybe written down, maybe off the top of your head. If there's someone at Adelaide that you've got in the gun for season.
I flirted with it before and I called him a competition agent. It's Isaac Rankin, and it's 22 football games, and it's no suspensions. It's no hamstring injuries. It's 40 goals and averaging 23 touches. It's like an Isaac Heaney year last year, but it looks different. You know what I mean? It's explosive. He has that indigenous flair. He kicks goals from anywhere. He bursts from stoppage, bouncing the ball. I want to see it. I want to see it weekly. I want him to have an Isaac Rankin pocket. I want him to kick goals. The perfect game, the tap from the ruckman, on the fly, bouncing, a bit of Cyril Rioli, a bit of Chad Warner. He can do it all. He's in my gun. It starts with playing 20-plus games, and just he'll get better and better and better. He's 25 years old. I haven't heard any niggles out of preseason, like that he's injured at all. So he's in my gun for sure, Dust. Who's in your gun?
Jev, I got Josh Rochelle. Obviously spoke about him earlier. This bloke had more ducks in 2024 than Seth Fields. If you don't know who he is, he's the 2024 World Duck Hunting Champion. That's how many ducks that bloke has. This kid went to Notre Dame, Jev, in Shepparton. He's a good old Victorian country boy, but does he act like it? Does he act like a Jev?
Is
Honestly,
he country tough? Is he country
do,
tough?
do you think he's country Victoria tough?
No, he looks like Brighton grammar, born on Brighton Beach.
Oh, that doesn't play football or plays in the Bees. Jev, they let him celebrate like Jason Ackermanis and he plays like Jed Lamb at times.
But then they drop him. Then they just kill the kids. So they love his flair. Then they kill the kid's confidence and drop him and just don't back him up at all.
All I hope over the offseason, and I know you don't want to try and concuss yourself, but watch a tape of Nick Rewalt, Jonathan Brown, watch someone bodyline the ball like Voss or Hodge, how they absolutely crack in. Even Brody Holland's hit on Brent Montgomery. I'm not saying knock someone out, but he's a pretty good size.
Watch Pat
He's
Cripps
pretty
tape.
athletic.
Watch Pat Cripps brutality. Watch Bo
100%.
Waters.
Look at Butters.
Watch
Butters
Butters.
is small.
Watch these guys.
They have to find, as you said, Jev, he's not going to be a 30-3 player. He's not.
Yeah.
That game that they won it against Essendon one of the last games of the year at Marvel, he kicked that goal. Like, he has to be a cracking player, be able to maybe draw a free kick because he's going in so hard, a chase down tackle. He has to be a big moments player, and he might not get the ball in his hands like that much, but he has to impact, crash packs, tackle, and do all the team things, and then he'll get rewarded on the scoreboard. But he's in my gun because if he has another bad year, he's gone out of Adelaide.
He should watch Will Hayward. He should be absolutely wrapped to be compared to Will Hayward and play a game like Will Hayward. Super team first, cracks in, can kick a nice goal, gets his possession, puts on pressure. Like, if I'm Josh O'Shelley, instead of thinking I'm going to be Bont or Cripps or anything, I'd love to have a season like Will Hayward had last year for the Swans.
100%. So that's in the gun, Jev. Let's go into the best bet on the board for Adelaide. Something that jumps out at you. I think we've both been flirting with it. You may have it, you may not.
No, it's nearly the best bet of the season. Adelaide to miss the 8 at $1.50 to us.
Here we go.
I can't believe we're getting $1.50. And if we're allowed to make a season-long bet with points bet, this is leg 1A, top of the list, best bet of the year. So the top 8 last year were awesome. So the bottom of the top 8 were Carlton, Dogs, Hawthorn. Everyone generally thought the Dogs and Hawthorn could win the flag. Then it was Brisbane at 5th. We had the Swans, Port, GWS, and Geelong. They're not better, and they're not going to be better than any of those 8 teams. Freo missed the 8. Collingwood missed the 8. Gold Coast missed the 8. They're not better than any of them. Like, how are they jumping from 4th last, 14th, to in the 8? How are they jumping 6 teams? Are they better than the Bombers? If I'm a Crows supporter, I'd like to think they're better than the Bombers. We don't really have, there's no history and evidence that they're just clearly better than them. I think $1.50 is like giving away money to us.
Yeah. No,
there is not a chance in hell they're playing in September. Last
year, I wouldn't have agreed. I had a high projection, but after last year, Jev, and same thing, you re-go over your notes and you just have a look at how much better the other teams get. And I just think I can't see them either. But the best bet on the board, Jev, we love an All-Australian. We spoke about him a lot. But the price point for Isaac Rankin to make All-Australian is $3.75 as of right now on PointsBet if you get on it. I think we both said, like, it's going to be the maturity year. As I said last year, like, he's had a few suspensions the last few years, did his hammy. Let's really hope he gets his body right. He could be like 70% midfielder time that kicks 35, 40 goals for the season. Yeah. Like, that's the season he could have. That stat Sench Footy starts posting towards the end of the year. The guy's still averaging 20 and 1. And last year it was like Heaney, Bont, and it was Dylan Moore. It's like he can be a 20 and 1 player. For sure. And he should be a 20 and 1 player next year. It's not about him getting 30s. He should always kick 1, 2, or 3 a week. It's like 20 Judd touches, like everyone's gold, kick a couple of goals, scoreboard impact. Yeah, I love it. Isaac Rankin to make All-Australian. Like, so here are the odds, Duff. So to win the premiership, 34 to 1. Not a chance. To make the grand finals, 17 to 1. Not a chance. Minor premiership, 26 to 1. Not a chance. Top 4, 8 to 1. Not a chance. Top 8, $2.50. Not a chance.
That should be $5, and I still wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, man, me neither.
Least wins, 101 to 1. See, that's worth a $2. Now, the Tigers are going to be horrendous.
Yeah.
And now we get to their over-under.
Yeah, so, Jev, what do you have Adelaide's floor of wins at? So, for anyone that, like, where we see everything shits the bed, where is their lowest?
Well, I don't want to be an asshole.
No, you don't have to, mate. You can.
They won 8 games last year.
Yeah.
What, their floor's 7? Like, they can easily be as bad as they were last year. The competition is so good. There are so many good teams. Like Collingwood and Freo missed the 8 last year. I can easily see. So they went 8, 14 and 1. So let's call them 9 and 14 last year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
At like 8, 7.
Yeah,
I can easily see them being a 7-win side.
I just had because of how many injuries they had. If they can stay healthy, and they've actually brought in Cummings, Peatling, if Sid Draper plays, if Isaac Rankin can play all year.
Neil Bull and Dan Curtin takes the jump. Yeah.
Just off that, I just said their floor would be 1 more than last year, which is 9.
Yeah, but if they win 8 games again this year, you won't be shocked.
No, I won't. But I'm saying, they have, their floor has to be 9. It has to be 9. Like, if it's under 9, it's ridiculous. So what would you have their ceiling at?
Well, this is the next thing. Can I say they're over-under now for the season?
Yeah.
Their over-under is 11.5. So they've won 8. And now they're predicting 3 more wins guaranteed next year. So 11's like Essendon. And then Freo only won 12 last year. And Freo's over-under is 12.5 this year.
So I've got one for you. So I didn't want to say it until we said the line. So you said the best bet on the board is Adelaide to miss the 8 at $1.50. How about you just take the under at $1.90?
$1.90. Under 11.5. Their ceiling. Like Adelaide play their best footy this year. Are they winning 13 games?
I had is there
13 games got you in finals.
I went through all the games, and you go through like no. At their absolute best, they scrape into the finals. And they win 13 games. If you told me last year Hawthorn were going to win 14 games, I wouldn't believe you. There's always a team that pops if they stay healthy. I think their best is 13 wins, 14 if they pull a miracle out of the hat. But I have them at 13 wins as their ceiling. They just like everything goes right. Matty Nicks keeps his job.
Yeah.
Thorpe, Fogarty, they kick 90 goals between them. Rankin's All-Australian. Dawson's back playing unbelievable footy. Sid Draper's fucking rising star. Over under. Line is 11.5, Jev. Are we going to shake on under?
Oh, yeah.
90. Shake with me.
Shake it. I reckon it's more likely they go 1 and 10 from round 3 to round 14 than they win 13 games.
Here we go. I've got a question for the people because they'll love this, Jev. I'll look straight down the barrel of the camera. What is more likely? Adelaide make finals or Matty Nicks gets fired? What is more likely?
Yeah. It's an absolute lock he gets fired. But so under 11.5 wins, we both agree on that. To miss the top 8 at $1.50, we both agree on that. Righto, we've got to be positive, Das.
This is positive.
If I'm a Crows supporter,
yes.
I was going to do to make the 8, but I'm going to change. There's a chance we're going to be able to get a multi on points bet.
Ooh.
If I'm a Crows supporter,
yep,
this would be my multi.
Okay, talk to me.
If I'm like, we're a chance this year.
Yep.
Over 11.5 wins at $1.85.
Yep, Adelaide hats on. Yep.
Isaac Rankin to make All-Australian at
$3.75.
$3.75. And then we'll try and get a thing. Darcy Fogarty.
Yep.
Riley Thilthorpe to combine for 70 goals for the season.
Yep.
I reckon we'll get about maybe 10 9s to 1, 8 to 1 maybe. I can't guarantee anything. If we can get that multi up, if you're a Crow supporter, you have to bet on that, don't you?
Have to.
The only problem
Adelaide,
is
in a perfect world, Adelaide over 11.5 wins. Isaac Rankin, All-Australian. Thilthorpe, Fogarty to kick 70 goals between them.
That's only 35 each. We're talking about Thilthorpe like he should nearly kick that himself.
Eddie Betts kicked 80 goals one season.
Yes, exactly. 70. It might have to go to 80. Even if it's 80, 40 goals each for two big forwards should be chalk it easy work to us.
We have to.
We're gonna talk to our people at PointsBet. We're gonna get that multi and we'll put our heads on it on the Instagram. If you're a Crow supporter, you've got to get all over that.
So that pretty much wraps us up for the Adelaide season preview. I think we're pretty down the barrel, and also I think we gave our honest opinion on them.
I just can't see him.
Hey, good luck to Adelaide. So if you're an Adelaide supporter, let us know what you think. If you're not an Adelaide supporter, do you guys agree? This will be going on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. Also, had to say that at the start. Make sure if you want more of this stuff, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit it. The more you guys do that, the more we can actually do this, and we get closer and closer to quitting our day jobs and doing this full time. So thank you. Jev, anything else on the Crows before we go?
Rate the new studios and cameras and microphones in the comments if you can, and then we can we're doing Brisbane Lions next, the reigning premiers next. Broke my heart grand final day, so
good team, Jev. They're a good team.
They're going to be a really good team. Good on you. That's good work. That's the Crows done. Let's go.
Let's go.
What are you prepared to lose today? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.